Welcome to the Jam Yearbook. I'm Jim.
And I'm Matt.
We're here to take you on a journey through the years as we explore the music in our lifetime and the impact it's had on us and the world we've lived in.
Welcome to the
mashup version. This week, we're going to mix up Beastie Boys versus Rage Against the Machine.
Climb Every Mountain and Stairway to Heaven.
The Sesame Street theme versus Angel of Death.
No, we're not doing any of that, Jim.
All right. What are we going to do then?
It's our April Fool's show, everybody. Welcome.
Yes, it is.
We're going to be talking about cover songs this week. And if you thought I'd lost my mind before, you should have seen my deep dive this week. Attempted deep dive. I tapped out pretty early because covers is vast.
Yeah, Matt. That's because covers make easy fools of us. Foolish because people don't realize a song is a cover sometimes. Foolish because they like the cover better than the original, in my opinion. Sometimes.
More on that later.
Yeah. And foolish of the band to even attempt the cover.
So many.
Covers can be both loved, hated, and divisive. So let's just jump right into the music. This is a special episode. There's no Grim Reaper this week. Let's start here. What separates a typical cover from one that elevates it to another level?
Oh, geez. Yeah, that's the big question. If you stay faithful, you run the risk of falling into the why bother category. Mm-hmm. If you stray too far, you risk alienating your fans, the fans of the original song. It can result in a shitstorm, really, that you may not want to face on the internet.
Yeah, this question is a big black hole that people could probably debate forever. I think personally that it's subjective. It's one of those, what does it mean to you, to me, to the individual? I've shared plenty of admiration for a band with a friend, but then had a disagreement over covers of their songs or even covers that they've performed.
Oh, yeah. Let's just stop being nice. If you're anti-cover songs, you're no friend of mine.
Get out of here.
It's just yeah. No, seriously. The thought that cover songs are above reimagining is a kind of gatekeeping. Overall, I love covers. I think I'm speaking for you as well. The idea of covers is great. Covering songs seemed very commonplace in the 60s, even the 50s. In the same year, there'd be multiple covers of the same song released.
Yeah.
But like everything else, yeah, not all are good. It's hard to put into words what it is that makes one good. To say that, you can kind of sound like a cop-out, but it's true.
And it is very rare for them to be universally loved. But we'll get into it in a little bit here. They do have their moments.
Oh, yeah. Music is probably the only art form where it's openly celebrated. You're not going to go down and see 100 different interpretations of the Mona Lisa or Michelangelo's David or even Stephen King's It. That's going to be considered forgeries or plagiarism. And while there's no one magical formula for what I find acceptable in a cover, I think there are some rules and, as always, exceptions. Sometimes it's whatever version you hear first ends up being your jam. And this can lead to one of the next rules. Covers can be successful if a band takes an older song that may be too obscure for people to know the original. That way the song's accepted on its own merit. Maybe it can give the new band a little cred for a deep dive.
Yeah. Look what happened with the Black Crowes when we were teenagers coming out of high school. They covered Hard to Handle. It completely blew them up. Nobody knew who they were. It was a debut album. And very few people knew at the time that it was an Otis Redding song.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
I bet you more people thought it was a Grateful Dead song because they played it.
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes it is the third cover where people really start diving and going, wait, no, it's not even a Grateful Dead cover. And so getting back to some of the rules, if it's a more faithful rendition, you got to do something to make it interesting. It's usually like a tempo swap or just take that one thing that makes the original special and you just make it really stand out. Same thing with going too abstract with a cover. Just be interesting. Don't be boring, but don't go too far. And artists really need to be careful with genre crossovers.
Yeah.
Me, Eric Clapton's I Shot the Sheriff is trash. I just never been a fan of that. I think country's a pretty safe genre to remake songs into. I think because of the playing on traditional, I air quotes, real instruments.
Yeah.
Garth Brooks, he covered a Billy Joel song, Shameless, and he made it better.
I think how the context transposes depends upon where you're starting from. I saw the Easy Star All-Stars cover Radiohead's OK Computer. They're a reggae band already. So to cover a band in the style of reggae, that makes sense. Much like country, it's within their range to make something sound classically reggae,
Mhm.
just the same as a country artist can make something sound like it belongs as a country song. Clapton made an unnecessary piece of shit out of I Shot the Sheriff. It didn't do anything for the song. And if I were him personally, I'd be embarrassed by it now.
It's also very cliche to take a fast song and make a ballad out of it.
Oh,
It
yeah.
oh god, it can make a song hit differently, but it's a little tropey now.
Mhm.
Actually, it's probably one of the biggest and overused tropes. I'm not saying it should be avoided. Just be careful with the frequency that it happens. And in the
Mhm.
80s, hair bands were doing a lot of covers. And I found those mostly acceptable because hair is about having fun. I don't think hair metals, they're not making artistic statements. And other than making them hair songs, they kept them pretty faithful.
It's actually a very common trope here in the UK to have a big hit dance song and then 6 months later release it with a good singer as a ballad with just a piano or a
Mm,
guitar. And it drives me nuts because the song was already number one. And then 6 months later, it charts again. And I think this is just the publishing company putting more money into their back pockets. And yeah, I just, it doesn't make any sense to me. But I agree that covers having fun is a better way to go most of the time.
yeah, I think my cynicism's rubbing off on you a little bit over there. So,
Probably.
so we figured we'd do something different, obviously, with the show. It's a special, it's covers, and we normally save all our songs for the end, but we figured, hey, let's just carry on with the show. Let's with 10 songs apiece. We're going with 10 this time.
Mhm.
We just decided let's spread them out through the show. By doing that, maybe we can figure it out as we go what constitutes a good cover and what doesn't in our
Yeah.
eyes.
Yeah. And why wait till the end? It'll be more interesting to put them out as we go. And since nobody picked the show, it was a mutual decision. Do you want to alternate who goes first?
Yeah, as long as beers don't make us lose track along the way. We are terrible at that. I never thought counting to 5 was going to be so hard.
No, it's been pretty embarrassing on a
Yeah.
few shows. Okay, Matt, then why don't you lead us in? Let's treat this like a 5 round boxing match. And there are some heavyweights I know that we've brought here.
All right. I like that idea. I'll start us out nice and easy because I don't think there's going to be too many dissenting opinions on this one.
Okay.
Uh, Talking Heads, they took the 1974 Al Green song, Take Me to the River, and they made it their own in a way. I guess it's kind of easy when you're switching genres like that. On the
Uh-huh.
surface, they're very different, but both they got a lot going on subtly in the background. The Talking Heads are their own animal. I don't think they're going to take anything and do it any other way but the way they know how. Al Green, it's more upbeat, slick, smooth, a little funky. This is a case of a cover that doesn't stray too far from the original melody. It just got an updated sound.
Yeah, it's a great song and they definitely own it. I didn't know that it was an Al Green song back in the day. I don't think either one of
Oh,
us
me,
probably
no
knew
way.
that. No, no. So since you broke everybody in nice and easy, I'll start with the dissenting opinions. And my first song will shock people. It's Jerry Garcia and his cover of the Beatles, Dear Prudence. What?
That's
People
dissenting
are
on two fronts.
people are probably saying, and I understand why, but give it a chance. Everybody just give it a chance. It's not long, it's not jammy, it does not sound like a Grateful Dead song. It's Jerry on his own with his band, and it sounds brilliant. The bass is right in the pocket, and the horns on the song take it to another level.
Yeah, I was a little hesitant with this one because Paul's bass line makes the original song for me. In
Mhm.
Jerry's version, though, the horns make up for it. And it's not to
Yeah.
say that the bass, like you said, it is in that groove. It fits perfectly. And
Mhm.
the horns completely make me love this version. Beatles covers are tough. The originals are, they're kind of on a pedestal and they're really ingrained into people's heads. It can be hard for people to accept them. Look at how many covers the Beatles themselves did.
Yeah.
There's no law saying Beatles songs can't be covered. It just seems a tall task for them to be accepted by really big Beatles fans. There's a little bit of gatekeeping with iconic bands at times.
I kind of disagree with what you're saying a little bit because Come Together gets covered by a new band, it seems, every decade. Here Comes the Sun, While My Guitar Gently Weeps. Aretha Franklin had her own version of Let It Be. I don't know if you know that Paul actually wrote the song for her, but decided
Oh,
at
I
the
didn't.
last minute, yeah, he wrote the song for Aretha Franklin, but then decided that he wanted to record it with the Beatles. And Otis Redding recorded Hey Jude. It's common to cover Beatles songs. The covers just don't become as iconic. If you went on to any of your streaming platforms right now and looked up She Said, a lot of bands take a stab at that. And many of them are pretty good.
Oh yeah, don't get me wrong. I'm not lumping myself in there. For all the time we spend griping about Aerosmith, they have quite a few Beatles covers that I like a lot. Cheap Trick does a really good job. Flaming Lips, on the other hand, that Sergeant Pepper's was not necessary at
No,
all.
probably. Yeah, probably not. And hey, I didn't bring Garcia's version of Prudence here to swing big right from the start.
And you knew the risk bringing Jerry Garcia up.
Oh, of course I did. So what's your second song?
All right, Axel F by Crazy Frog. Fuck that. That is not happening today, folks. Seriously, though. My second's going to be Blondie's The Tide is High. I neglected to add this in version 1980, and it's the perfect time for it. It was a toss up between this and Hanging on the Telephone. I have more of an attachment to The Tide is High because I remember as a kid sitting next to the radio with a tape player, just waiting for it to come on so I could record it.
It's such a good song. And I didn't actually know it was a cover song until we did the show this week and I saw it pop up on the list. But I'm sure in the community that it came from, it was still really celebrated. It's got that ska reggae style going on.
Mm-hmm.
And it's that kind of groove that makes that song special.
All right. What have you got next for the playlist?
I'm going to bring Florence and the Machine, and the song is You've Got the Love. I had no clue this was originally a 90s dance track. I used to hear the original at work on the radio, and I just thought it was some shitty remix with a boom chicka boom behind it. Florence owns this song now. And when people think of this song, I do think the remake is what dominates the ether.
Well, you just put this one right in my face because I had no idea this was a remake either.
Yeah.
And we said it at the beginning. Sometimes that's the case. And Florence's voice, her style, she has that ability to just take any song and make it her own.
Yeah. Yeah.
She's just one of those kind of performers.
Oh, big time. All right. So let's get the elephants out of the room and we can talk about some of these songs that people are probably thinking, oh, what about this? These are massive covers. We kind of intentionally, I think both of us didn't put these in our 10 this week, but we are going to talk about these covers that are so big that they pretty much belong to the artist that's covering them. So we're just going to list some off here. We have Jimi Hendrix with All Along the Watchtower and Janis Joplin's cover of Piece of My Heart.
Aretha Franklin singing You Make Me Feel Like a Natural Woman. She owns that. Mm-hmm. And then there's the Clash's performance of I Fought the Law. They were the perfect band for that song.
Yeah. And then there's the Nirvana cover of The Man Who Sold the World. It took a Bowie song to another level. And speaking of another level, man, Jeff Buckley's Hallelujah.
Oh yeah. That song was going to be brought up today. I feel like I'm not supposed to say this, but I don't get Leonard Cohen. Are you going to take away the last shred of my cool card, Jim?
No, that's okay.
Yeah, it's kind of a Dylan thing. He writes great songs, but it takes others to make them accessible to me.
Mm-hmm.
Jeff Buckley's is the definitive version of that song, though. The resurgence in his version after he died added a certain heaviness to it that may help put it on that pedestal. Pentatonics has a really good version, too. It's a little sterile, but the voices are amazing.
I'm on the same page with you regarding Cohen. I'm not going to chop up your cool card.
Yeah.
I almost put Concrete Blonde's version of Everybody Knows on my 10 this week. I love that, but I had to leave it off because of the soundtrack rule. We decided we weren't going to bring songs from soundtracks because that would be too easy. They're kind of contrived and, Pump Up the Volume had that song on it.
Yep. Specifically for soundtrack songs.
Yes. But Jeff Buckley's version of Hallelujah has its place now in the fabric of music history. I think he was the Hendrix to Cohen's Dylan.
Yep, it's an iconic cover song. Katie Lang also does a killer rendition too.
Oh, I have no doubt.
I'm sure there's tons of covers of that song.
Yeah. All right. So what's your next song?
I'll take a page from the Patriots and defer. You got to go first this time.
Oh yeah, we're alternating. All right.
Yeah.
So round 2, here we go. Songs 3 and 4. I'll start it off. I'm going to start by adding Tori Amos and her version of Smells Like Teen Spirit. This was before people started doing all of that, take a fast song and slow it down. I had the CD single of Crucify, and this was one of the B-sides. It's a rare example of slowing a song down, but not taking away the shine of it. I went to see her at Memorial Auditorium, and the concert had finished, or at least we thought it had. You're kind of inexperienced at going to concerts and not realizing don't leave until the lights come up. And we were going to drive back to Rutland that night. So you're talking an hour and a half on the road ahead of us as we were leaving. And after the last song played, we thought, okay, let's get the hell out of here. And as we were walking out, I guess I was at some place where I could still hear what was going on. And I heard the first notes of her playing Smells Like Teen Spirit. So in a very unpopular move of the group of people that I traveled there with, I turned around and went right back in.
Where's Jim?
Yeah. And they came back in, actually. They enjoyed it as well. But I wasn't going to miss it. And it's one of my favorite live performances that I've witnessed.
Yeah, it takes advantage of that trope of making a fast song slow, but she makes it interesting. I think she also made it accessible for a different audience for that message that's in the song.
Yeah, I think so too.
So,
all right. So what's your next song?
Well, I need a little Shatner. Our correspondent and friend of the show, John, added Pulp's Common People in version 1995.
Yep.
I absolutely love William Shatner's cover. Ben Folds had a big part in the music, and Joe Jackson has a guest spot when there's actually singing is needed in the song. And the lyrics are just perfect for his spoken word delivery.
Yeah. Hey, who couldn't use some more Shatner in their life? And this is a perfect song for the playlist. So good choice. I hope people accidentally hear it back to back if they're on shuffle.
Oh, I know that would be great.
That'd be great.
All right, Jim, what's your second song for round 2?
All right. My second song is Hot House Flowers, and the song is I Can See Clearly Now. It's a Jimmy Cliff cover, but it's not done reggae style. This is more like they take you to church in the way that it builds and reaches this fantastic crescendo at the end. The instrumentation, the vocals, and the harmonies pull it all together and make it completely special in its own way.
That was a good pull. I hadn't heard this one before. I love the original, obviously. They did a really good job with it.
Yeah, it wasn't a big hit, but I've known this song since I lived in Newport. One of those late night finds when you were watching music videos late at night and it just happened to get played and I ran out and bought the cassette. Okay, so finish this round off, Matt. What's your second song?
I'm going to bring some Burt Bacharach into our lives.
Oh, yeah.
Because his songs provided many covers over the years, and one of my favorites from the 80s was Always Something There to Remind Me by Naked Eyes. Now I have a little breathing room for when we do version 1983.
This is a catchy song. Part of me almost called you out as unfair to choose this because Burt Bacharach was known more as a songwriter for other people, but he did record his own songs as well.
That's right.
And he did put them on albums. So, it's deserving. It can be here. He wrote some of the catchiest songs we're ever going to hear. That man knew how to craft an earworm, no doubt. Okay. So let's take a turn down nasty street and talk about some covers we might not like. Anything come to mind straight away for you?
Deep breath. Yes. Guns N' Roses Knocking on Heaven's Door. I am probably on an island here and getting some raised eyebrows, but I really hate this song. This one Guns N' Roses song encapsulates what annoys me with this band. I don't need all the bullshit coming out of Axl's mouth.
Hey.
Yeah, I don't need Axl scatting all over the place. And I mean that in both ways possible. Just shut up and let Slash have more moments. The gospel choir, while I understand heaven and let's have a gospel choir, it just doesn't fit the tone of the song. But yeah, I'm going to stop myself there. I'm sure you could hear me getting wound up. What grinds your gears, Jim?
All right. Well, somebody is going to throw a shoe at me when I say this.
Oh, my shoe.
That's true.
Lillian.
That is Disturbed Sound of Silence, which probably is a even more revered song by the same people that are like, Knock on Heaven's Door is good. What are you talking
Yeah.
about? I guess my problem is I hate exactly what everybody else loves about this song. The sound, it's awful to me. It's miserable. The entire emotion of the original is lost on me because of how they try to make it intentionally sound deeper and darker.
Yeah. That's a wholly unpopular opinion, Batman. I have to give it that label right there. Disturbed's cover, it's powerful, but the song's powerful to begin with.
Yeah, it is.
Right? I agree it didn't need the sludginess that they brought to it, but it obviously connected with people. And it can take an updated version to introduce it to a new audience or remind an older one what an incredible song it is. Hopefully younger listeners went back and listened to the original, or even better, realized how superior the original is. And Simon and Garfunkel got some new fans out of it.
Well, part of the reason why I think it's overrated is due to the comments that I heard about it being better than the original when it came out.
Yeah, come on. It's not. Let's not fool ourselves. I also think the love affair came when people saw the live performance on Conan O'Brien, which they did absolutely nail. They did create an atmosphere, and this is where I'll play devil's advocate a little bit with that performance, because we've talked about how a visual can create that very positive association in memory, especially when the subject of the song, it is timeless. And I think by them doing it, it did kind of update it without changing the lyrics, because, bow their heads and pray to the neon god they made. I mean, that's the fucking cell phone now.
Yeah.
It's not a neon sign, well, it is a neon sign, but it's that goddamn phone you hold in your hand all the time.
Yep.
And I wish he would have sang it entirely in his non-growling voice, because Draymond, he does have a really rich baritone voice. It's very good in the beginning of it, but the song makes enough of a statement where I don't think it needs that extra selling point. There is something that we haven't really talked about, is I call them part-time songs. Songs where there's one part that is so damn good it makes you think the whole song is good, or there's one powerful moment, usually at the end, that it's unexpected, so it sticks out. With this cover, it's the opposite. That buildup almost detracts from the rest of it. And Paul Simon endorses this one, so I guess if it's good enough for him, I don't have to I don't hate it. I like it, but I don't have to be in love with it.
I appreciate some of your reasoning. I'm not going to decide to change my mind right now on whether I'm going to like it, but I can understand your reasoning on why some other people did really enjoy it. It's definitely good to inspire young people to dig back into the original artists. And absolutely, if people are going to go back and look through Simon and Garfunkel, that's exactly what you want that type of cover to achieve. But I'm going to remind you, it was 2015, and we know from doing this show what those years were like. There, good music was hard to come by. So sorry, I will just stand my ground.
Yeah, okay. Like I said, I'm just trying to play a little devil's advocate, and the least I can do is give you a moment to hate on it, since I got to trash Guns N' Roses.
Well, don't worry. I have something that will probably hit you right where it hurts.
Oh, right where it counts, huh?
Yeah. Anything by Weezer that they cover. I can't take it. Yeah, pretty much. It's almost like a fatigue of it. Oh, here comes another Weezer cover. Oh, great. Yeah. Look what we,
Yep. And I get it. And we are rightfully harsh with Weezer. I think, I said something a long time ago and I dropped it because I could have just kept repeating it about a lot of bands and songs, and that probably would have got really annoying. Remember when I said things need to go away, then come back and be special again? That's where I am with Weezer right now. And I do feel shitty about that. And if I don't like it, I don't need to listen, right? Or even pay attention, but it's hard to not pay attention. If I were in their position, or you, we wouldn't stop making music either. But they've put out more music now that I don't connect with than I do. And I know that's probably helping them generate new fans and keeping that whole machine going. So that's where I also kind of feel a little shitty about it, but it's starting to harm my overall perception of them. I know it shouldn't. I just got to learn to ignore that stuff. I will defend Teal.
Okay.
Take Africa Away. I know you're fatigued by that song, and I'm getting there too, because it is becoming inescapable. For a while there, it's like, oh, Weezer did Africa. Oh, let's see what we can do with Africa. Then you heard, 100 different versions. And it's kind of like how sporting events have nearly made Sweet Caroline unlistenable. And I don't know if it's anywhere else, but Boston sports is really ruining Dropkick Murphys for me too. Right. And I won't defend Weezer's version of No Scrubs. That is straight crap. I don't mind the gender bending. It's just not good at all.
Well, look, here's my perception of Weezer and another reason why I feel this way. Say you took all these covers and Weezer were in a bar on a Friday night and you were out and you were having a good time and you were all drinking with your friends, enjoying the songs. You would go home and the discussion you would have afterwards would be, the band was good. Musically, they hit everything note for note. But that guy was probably not the right lead singer for the band to be in a cover band. And it is Rivers. I understand they're being Weezer. They're not trying to be a cover band where they're taking on the role of who they're covering and trying to just sound like copycats, which cover bands generally try to do. But at the same time, I think you would, if you heard them in a bar and you went home, you would say they were a great band, but they need to get a better singer. And when they're doing a whole album of covers like that, it just kind of, it wears me down a little bit. I'll listen to all of them once and I enjoy them and I appreciate them, but I just never got brought back to, ooh, I need to listen to that again. And then of course, social media, it starts to get out there and people pick up on it. And the next thing you know, 50 different people are sharing Weezer's cover of Africa.
Yeah. Not only that, they put Weird Al in the video. So that got other people sharing and talking about it as well.
And I also think that these covers are kind of a cheap cash grab from the fans. It's kind of like one of those, ooh, look what we can do.
Yeah. They got my cash. Yeah.
Yeah. I'll always have a place in my heart for Weezer. I predict 2 songs, at least between us, from the Blue Album will go on the playlist. Maybe a third
from the poll.
When we reach 1984. But this is some straight up bullshit for me. Save it for the stage and surprise your fans live. I don't need a K-Tel album assembled by a band that sounds the same from song to song.
So you didn't like the K-Teal album, huh?
The K-Teal. That's what I'm going to call it from now on.
Yeah.
That is Weezer's K-Teal album. Good call. Good call.
Hey, sometimes cheap grabs work. We both got our triggers. So do you feel the same way with tribute albums?
Well, generally with tribute albums, you have different artists from song to song. So you're getting different interpretations, but I rarely have heard a tribute album that I thought was great from beginning to end. I probably can pick a song or two off of it that I'll enjoy, but then
because I don't really want to listen to an hour's worth of covers.
No.
Generally, and I think that's where tribute albums fail me a little bit.
And I get the nostalgia that Weezer gave to people. And I think you're talking about No Scrubs. I think that No Scrubs is on that album because that gender bending, ooh, this was an R&B song. It's almost a tongue-in-cheek version of it, more so than, hey, let's be musical.
Yeah, and a band has to be careful of running into that barrier of not as being perceived as not taking it seriously by fans of the original.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Okay, let's get off the negative stuff and let's get back to the songs that we like. We're going to go to our 5 and 6 songs from round 3. You go first this time. What's the next song you're putting on the playlist?
Well, I haven't talked about the Ramones in a long time.
No,
no, I haven't. It may be childish or a bit on the side of novelty, but the theme song for the old Spider-Man cartoon is the perfect song for the Ramones, and I need it on the playlist.
This is a perfect punk cover. And in my opinion, it dodges any tropes. It seems like every popular song has to have a punk version. Anything
or a ska cover
or a ska cover. Yeah, but Hit Me One More Time, any Christina Aguilera song. All these songs have all had punk bands. Oh, we're going to do a version of it. And you know what? The Ramones, well, that wasn't popular probably in their time. I'm sure they did in practice. They probably played a lot of songs that we never got to hear.
Oh yeah.
but they picked Spider-Man and they put it
Yeah.
on record. And
Yeah.
thank you, Ramones, for doing that
Well, I
because
think
it's
it was
awesome.
because I think it was off like a Saturday morning cartoons tribute album
Yep. Yep.
where other groups did stuff as I'm pouring a
Hey,
beer.
hey, pour a beer. Hey, no, it's great. I actually remember that Saturday morning cartoons album, and it had some good songs on it.
Oh yeah, it
The
did.
the Liz Fair and Material Issue cover of Banana Splits was on that. I'm sorry, I'm throwing
Oh,
another song. This
no,
is just
that's
an
good.
honorable mention. It's not going on the playlist, but that was awesome.
Yep. Yep. Oh, and do you remember the Schoolhouse Rock?
Oh, definitely.
My
That
God.
tribute album was cool.
Who is it? Oh my God, Blind Melon. Three
Yeah.
is the magic number. I love
Yep.
that song.
Yep.
All right, sorry, I got us off.
Well, no, I was going to say, it was Liz Fair or someone who did Interplanet Janet as well.
Yes.
That was
Yeah.
fantastic on that.
Yeah,
So
yeah. Who did Lolly Lolly Lolly? Get your adverbs here.
I don't remember. It might have.
I got to look that up.
Yeah, we're gonna have to find that out.
All right, sorry, I derailed the show.
That's okay.
All right, what's going to be your first song for round 3, Jim?
My first song for this round is going to be by the DGs, and it's Shadow Dancing. We talked about covers being fun, and it does not get more fun than this Foo Fighters album of Bee Gees songs. But in classic form, they cover Little Brother Andy Gibbs' song like a little brother. Taylor Hawkins takes the lead vocal. I wish I could have been a fly on the wall in the studio when they recorded this EP, because I can just imagine the laughter was reverberating everywhere.
Oh yeah, this is where we both dial back the fatigue with the Foo Fighters.
Yeah.
This is one of those covers you never know you needed until it comes into your life. This whole EP, and you're right. I bet they had a blast making this one.
Oh, they had to have. All right. So what's your second choice?
I got to go with Charles Bradley's cover of Black Sabbath's Changes. You can call me out if you want, because this is another trope of covers, having that older, more mature voice come in, and it ends a new layer of meaning and emotion to the song. And I can't deny that I love it, and it's very effective on me.
I don't think that's such a bad trope, though. You'd have to sacrifice half of your Johnny Cash collection if you believed this.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, this is a great cover, and the voice of an elder lends itself well to the song.
All right, what's your final choice for this round?
Well, this song is probably going to be one of those really weird ones to people if they go and listen to it on the playlist, but it's Butthole Surfers, and the song is The Hurdy-Gurdy Man. Yeah, you laugh as soon as I just say that.
That damn name it when it hits me, right?
I can probably only understand the lyrics to 5 to 10% of this song, if that. That might even be an overstatement.
Yeah.
But there's an entire feel to the song that I love. It's one of those songs that you put on in headphones and you just put your head back and you let it take you somewhere else. The original Donovan version did this well too. All right, so let's get back to reality. We talked a little bit about it earlier, covers for movie soundtracks. This is one of the most common places to find a cover song.
Yeah, and a common theme in this show may be cynicism, because depending on your level of it, you could view covers for movies as cheap marketing.
Yeah, I agree. We said earlier that we outlawed covers from our 10 when we prepped for the show. I think a little more often it's a little too much. Let's grab this current number 1 selling artist or band, and then let's give them a nostalgic song to make the audience feel like they know more about what's going on in the movie.
Yes.
And I'm sure if research has been done, it would prove to show that there's some kind of comfort or acceptance when the audience hears something familiar, a validation, but then it makes it, oh, interesting because Ed Sheeran's doing it this time or something along those lines. Just do what Iron Man did and play the original AC/DC song if you need a rock song.
The thing with soundtracks for me and covers is they'll put a new band in, obviously, as you just said, but it's of the time, and it can kind of just keep you in that moment where if you, like you said, put in the original artist, it can make you go, oh shit. It can, to me, that piques my interest more than having Ed Sheeran come in and just
I use that by
Ed
example.
Sheeran it up.
I don't have an Ed Sheeran song I can think of off the top of my head, but just the most common superstar of the time. But what about
Yes.
live covers? We both played in cover bands in our life, but when it comes to a big band, you've paid $120, you're going to go see their show, and they're going to play a cover song. Do you like that? Or do you think it's more a tribute to the original artist?
I think it's essential. Are you talking when you go see them or when they're on a live album?
Either way, either way.
Yeah, it's a way to grab the audience's attention for sure. They're unexpected, right? And I've been to plenty of shows, and they often try to disguise it at first. The guitarist will noodle around or something, but when they hit that one chord, and you're like, oh yeah, and then
Oh yeah, look what
exactly.
they're playing. Yeah,
That's right. Everybody does that and goes nuts. I'm all for bands doing this. It's got to be refreshing for them. And this gives them a chance to be nostalgic about what it was like starting out as a cover band or holding up in their bedrooms, jamming on their favorite songs. And I think by the time that bands get around to making covers for an album, a studio version, it was organic. It was something that they did play live.
Yeah. Yep.
Over years and years and years, because they become known for it. And then they're like, hey, you know what? We need a filler. Let's just throw this cover on here and make a few bucks.
Yeah, I agree with everything you're saying. Once again, I think one of the important aspects of live covers is the conversation after the show. People will ask you if a concert's good, and you can say, oh yeah, no, they sounded great. But if they did a cover, you're going to talk about, oh my God, but you should have heard them cover this song. And it seems after a concert, people don't walk up and say, how was their biggest hit, as much as did they cover anything? And we've seen that in our entire lifetime of going and seeing live music.
Yeah, I think one of the most surprising ones for me was Crash Test Dummies at Higher Ground. They broke out Hit Me Baby.
There you go.
Right? Something completely unexpected.
That's great.
Okay, moving along. Let's get to the next round. Round 4. Jim, throw the first punch.
All right. Well, it's going to be a light punch. It's a lovely one. It's Glenn Campbell's All I Want Is You. It's such a beautiful take on an already beautiful song by U2. At the time, he was starting to suffer dementia, and he went into the studio to record a last album of covers with his band and family. And there are some real gems on there. But in my opinion, this song is the standout.
Yeah, it is a beautiful cover. He chose some really great songs for that album. Good Riddance, Time Like These, Grow Old With Me. They're all perfect to tug on the heartstrings, knowing the struggle he was going to face.
Yeah, his voice sounds so good on this album.
Oh, it sounds awesome.
That's nice. All right, Matt, throw your right hook. What's your next song?
Well, this may be more of an unexpected left, perhaps a knee to the groin. It all depends on your tolerance for Devo, because their version of I Can't Get No Satisfaction is my preferred version.
Oh, wow. That's classic Devo, without a doubt. I'm definitely not as big a fan as you are, but they've got my respect, and it is a good cover, admittedly. Yeah, I can hand it that.
If you're going to get abstract, be interesting. They did it.
Yeah, that's true.
All right, what's going to be your final shot this round?
All right, well, my final shot in this round is going to be metal, but not really metal. It's a metal band, Anthrax, and they're playing Carry On Wayward Son. This is so close to the original. And I was shocked when I heard it. It only came out in 2017, so it's fairly recent. The original is not an easy song to cover, and they do a fantastic job because it's Anthrax. It rocks just a little bit harder, especially the drums. But I like this as a metal band showing we could have made that kind of music if we wanted. We're talented enough. We just prefer to make metal.
Yeah, and I probably should have spazzed out like Beavis when you unveiled this one.
Yeah.
No matter how fatigued people are going to get with that original, this guitar riff is it's classic.
Yeah,
it's always going to be cool.
It's great. Yep.
And this is one of those ones where it is nice that they didn't metal it up. You take a metal band and they stayed fairly traditional with it.
Yeah, very little change. Probably just in some of the noodling on the guitar. But that would probably be about it. Yeah.
Yep.
All right, finish us off for round 4, Matt. What's it going to be?
Faith No More did a very straight cover of Easy by the Commodores. They didn't change much, and I loved them for it. They could have easily Mr. Bungled it, but instead gave me the biggest surprise and were faithful to the original.
Yeah, it's a great choice and it sounds amazing. It's a good song, but I'm also going to give honorable mention to their version of I Started a Joke. I love that as well. Their covers are all fantastic.
Yes, they are.
Okay, Matt, some final thoughts here as we get to the end. Rap artists don't cover old rap songs is one of the things I was looking at. It only seems like white people with acoustic guitars cover rap music as a novelty.
Yeah, it's some rap songs are hard to remake because they're so in the now. At
Mhm.
least probably more recent ones. A lot of the references are current at the time, and they can make the song sound dated. So unless you change a lyric here or there, it can sound a little off if the song is too old. I think in rap there isn't that emphasis on being fresh, and maybe that's the problem with rock. Rock fans don't seem to want the genre to change, yet complain that it never does. Then when someone does something different, it's met with disdain.
Uh-huh. I forget, you weren't really into the scene in the early 2000s. There were a lot of rap covers with acoustic guys. 99 Problems even had a country cover, but Boys in the Hood, No Diggity, Gin and Juice, they had acoustic covers. Those rap songs were all, though, a little more commercial and probably had an easier flow to transpose compared to today's music. I think with today's rap, you'd have a really difficult time doing this.
Yeah, and I always took the Gourds cover of Gin and Juice as a bit of a novelty. It's hard to tell how serious they are about it, but it's a good cover.
Yeah, I think most rap covers were novelty, to be honest. And I agree with what you said before. Rap is more personal. There's already been enough accusations of stealing rhymes and styles. It wouldn't make sense for rap artists really to be covering one another. Alrighty then. It's time to wrap up our battle of the cover bands because it seems like kind of a battle trying to figure out how to talk about them and present them for the show. There are 100 different directions we could have gone in. Let me ask, do you have any final thoughts before we reveal our final 2 songs for the playlist?
This was one of my more fun versions to do because it was a challenge and I like challenging myself. The challenge was to not get too obscure because we all know those obscure covers. It's very easy to go down those wormholes, but I'm just excited to finish this with a couple of hot covers and go out with a bang. It sounds like it exhausted you though, Jim.
Yeah, there was a lot to look at. And, as we pass notes back and forth this week, I think it was
You don't realize what a huge thing covers is.
Yeah. So I was up against the ropes a couple of times, but I'm going to come out at the end here swinging hard. It's TKO time. So let's get to round 5, 9, and 10. And I go first this time.
Yes, you do.
I am going to bring Tina Turner's cover of Whole Lotta Love. What? This is a right and left hook combo in one song. It starts out sounding like the theme from Shaft. And it was 1975. I can forgive that. If you're listening passively to the playlist from another room, you would probably think the song had changed once it goes into sounding more like the Led Zeppelin song. I hadn't even heard this until this week. And I would have loved to have heard Tina sing more Zeppelin. As much as Ann Wilson does a great job, Tina captures the raw grittiness and sensuality of Robert Plant's voice probably better than anyone that I've heard. I don't even want to use the term capture because she's not trying to imitate him. She's not just trying to hit the notes he hits. She's just being Tina. And that's enough to make this one hell of a cover.
It certainly is. I can't believe how constrained she was in this song. It's not something I'm used to hearing.
No, but I think that makes it better.
Oh, certainly. Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
I mean, you brought up the sensuality. I mean, she upped the game with it.
Yeah. Yeah. So there we go. What is the first song of round 5 for you? Song 9.
I got to go with Aretha Franklin, Respect.
Of course.
Of course. Growing up, I never knew this was an Otis Redding song. Twice that we've had to say Otis Redding on here getting covered. Aretha owns it. It serves as a cover and a different perspective of the original.
We've said it before. When Aretha sings a song, she owns it, plain and simple. And I mentioned earlier how Paul McCartney had written Let It Be for her. I have to wonder. She did record it. It did wind up on album. You can find it out there. But it is one of those rare cases, because you brought up the Beatles earlier, and not to say that I guess we are kind of backtracking some of the thoughts. She still couldn't trump the Beatles.
Yes.
They still own that song, but her version's a little faster. It doesn't have the same sentimentality to it.
Yeah. Well, didn't the Beatles version have Yoko Ono? You can't top that.
Oh yeah. What was she? She was not.
But
she
had to have been howling in the background somewhere.
No, she was sitting nicely in the studio. You've seen the documentary.
I know.
Don't push along these false accusations about Yoko. She was chilling out with Linda, having a good time watching them record.
She was. I was just trying to get a rise out of you.
But with Aretha, respect. This is iconic. This is another song that I didn't know was Otis Redding really until recently, and it doesn't get much bigger.
Nope.
All right. So my last punch, here we go.
Make it a good one.
I am throwing it all in with Stevie Ray Vaughan's cover of Little Wing. There are few people, if any, in the world that can take a Hendrix song and elevate it to another level. But Stevie Ray Vaughan can. And he does it beautifully here. I love that he keeps it as an instrumental. I do believe he also has a version where he sings the verses, but it's the instrumental version that I'm going to put onto the playlist. That progression, as it just keeps coming around, I want to turn it up louder and louder.
Oh, yeah.
And with really, really good HD headphones, you can hear the hum of his amp before the song starts. The recording sounds like you're in the room with him.
Yeah, you're right. You definitely need to put on the instrumental version.
Yeah,
because that thing just rocks. It's very easy to get lost in that song when he's playing it.
And shout out to Voodoo Child, which he also plays. And even though that's not an original Hendrix tune as well, it's an old blues standard. I don't know if I could pick one over the other as to which one's better.
Yeah,
it's tough.
Well, now I got Voodoo Child through my head.
Great guitar player.
Tasty. Yeah,
it is. All right. So what are you bringing for the final song of the covers episode?
Well, a common thread through a lot of this has been the Beatles. So I'm going to make my last one Stevie Wonder's version of We Can Work It Out.
Well, here we go.
Stevie absolutely crushed one of my favorite Beatles songs.
Yeah. And this song was a hit. He did so here we go.
Yep.
He took a Beatles song and he made something huge out of it. This is the knockout punch. But one of the things I think is interesting right here at the end to notice is that we're bringing in legends covering legends.
Yeah.
And I think that's just how it's going to go sometimes to get the best of the best.
Yep.
The cream always rises to the top. Oh, and I'm going to give a special shout out to every single Tom Jones cover.
Yeah. And just like that, the covers version is over. That was a lot of fun. That was a very fun week of preparing for.
No, that was fun. It was good. But I'm glad that I don't have to dig around looking for covers anymore.
Oh, yeah. It was fun yet exhausting.
Yeah. All right. So you get to choose the next show. It's your time to choose. We picked this one kind of together. We knew we were going to do it for April Fools, but in order of choosing, where are you taking us next? What's the next show going to be?
I'm going to take us to a potentially big year for a certain member of the staff here. And I'm going to go to 1990.
Oh, yeah. That's cool. It's the year I graduated high school. So we've done your graduation year. Now it's time to do mine. That'll be a lot of fun. All right. I guess it's my turn to wrap it up. Are you good to go?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, go ahead.
Hey, everybody. We hope you enjoyed this show as much as we did. Maybe we'll do a cover of our cover show someday. No, that would be like Groundhog Day, just over and over and over again.
Well, what we'd have to do is get a script of like everything that we've said through this whole show. You take my lines and I take your lines.
No, that'd be hilarious to actually do that. And we did talk about doing that this week originally.
Months ago.
Yeah, that was something we did bring up. But we had a good time doing this week. We hope you all enjoyed it as much as we did. And those 10 songs apiece will go up on the playlist. We'll post them on the Facebook group page. We appreciate everybody who contributes with that. Maybe we'll throw some covers up there or put some engagement up and ask people what their favorite covers are out with this. I bet you some of the classic ones that we mentioned get thrown onto the page for sure.
Definitely.
Yeah. All right. So from the Jam Yearbook, I'm Jim.
And I'm Matt.
Peace, love, and podcast.